Everyone, everyone, how are you? Everyone, how y'all doing? So this conversation is being conducted a lot in the government these days, of course, in the area of disclosure high. We got Saturn in Pisces, Neptune getting ready to make its way out of the whole zodiacal wheel back to the first house. And into the first house of the zodiac, which is Aries. And it's interesting because Neptune works like the Queen of Hearts does. The Queen of Hearts in cardology is ruled by Neptune. And what Neptune does, the Queen of Hearts does, is makes things easier to consume. So that could be information, that could be food, it could be drugs, it could be dealing with people, whatever it is. The Queen of Hearts makes life easier to consume, right? So that means that things that reside in a certain area, when the Queen of Hearts comes through, you're going to be easier to, pretty much more open to it, right? Without the Queen of Hearts, things would be very scary. Think of a baby, and the little baby doesn't have the mother, it's a scary world without the mom, without the mother. But that's what the Queen of Hearts does. So granted, that being Neptune or representing Neptune, Neptune itself is getting ready to go into Aries soon, right? So Aries is like adventurous stuff. You know what I mean? Like, real only the brave can traverse Aries, the brave people who are going to step out on a limb and do stuff, or who are going to be more curiously dangerous. You know what I mean? Because I say curious because curious is often associated with childhood and early childhood. Curiosity. So you got Neptune moving into that space, right? So Neptune is coming to begin a whole new cycle to give us a whole lot of new things and expose us to things that we are normally afraid of. You know what I mean? Realities that, strike fear in the hearts of people. Well, with Neptune there, that's not the case. With Neptune, we can be curious about those things that would normally strike fear. So now, as Neptune is getting ready to make that transition into Aries soon, into the whole new part of the zodiac, the government is disclosing aliens. But it's not only disclosing aliens per se, but we also have something that is also very big on the horizon, and that is AI, artificial intelligence, right? So we are now sitting at the crossroads, faced with all of the things that we talked about years ago in the realm of science fiction, the things that we couldn't imagine, they're here. They're here now. They're alive, they're open, they're apart. We are being slowly brought into the this is being slowly brought into the consciousness of reality, everyday reality, right? So I'm going to play this. This is the discussion that they were having.
this relate to UAP activities, Mr. Schellenberg, in oceanic environments? Are there any instances where the Navy or other maritime forces have encountered UAPs that could not be explained by known technology or natural phenomena?
Yeah, the Immaculate Constellation covers both terrestrial and oceanic, and there's actually a number of cases described in the report that occur in the ocean.
And do you believe that there is a concerted effort by the Pentagon to keep Congress out of the loop regarding these UAP activities, specifically in our waters?
Yes.
I think it's about 5% of our ocean that's actually been studied in detail by man, and we've studied more of space than we had of our own oceans. And so, are there any accounts of UAPs emerging from or submerging into our water, which could indicate a base or presence beneath the ocean's surface?
I don't know about a base, but as I mentioned, I had a different source entirely describe this pretty extraordinary footage that exists of orbs, of an orb coming out of the ocean and being met by another orb.
Some would say that there's multiple hotspots where we see frequent activity. So in your investigations, have you come across any data or visual evidence like sonar readings or underwater footage of these UAPs?
I have not beyond what's in the report.
You've written about UAPs not only in the air, but in underwater. Are there any specifics on what you've learned about the UAP activity in our oceans? Particularly, have you spoken with sources who have provided any evidence or eyewitness accounts of these UAPs interacting with our naval forces or being detected by our underwater surveillance systems?
Nothing beyond what's in the report and then the specific case that I mentioned with the orb.
So if you don't know what UAPs are, that is the new term to replace UFOs, unidentified, what is it, aerial phenomenon, something like that. And the reason being is because they are dividing they're starting to divide and classify where ships are originating, where they're coming from, where people seeing things, categorizing them. So they're not all UFOs anymore. So now you have water, a lot of water sightings of things and things coming out of the water, right? Now, this is like nothing new. And the reason that I brought this up is because, many of us who've been around, we all heard stories from about the Nommos, and there are others of us that know stories about Olokun, which I'm an initiate of. I'm a priestess of Olokun, right? And these are the same types of beings that have been documented by Africans that have been visiting the shores and the people. And not only that, some of these beings we're said to originate from some of these water beings that came out of the water and later on became us. So, good morning. So, this is like nothing new for us, right? Like, I think we're just coming to a point of validation. But the interesting thing is, as Saturn moved into Pisces, a lot of talk became about the water. A lot of talk became about what's down in the water. People have photographed events in the water, all of this stuff like that. So it's been building up. And we're now arriving to a convergence on a point within the next 1 to 3 years. Whatever's down there is going to become a part of our reality. And not even just whatever's down there, but what's up there, what flies here, and what goes here is going to become a part of our reality. And I think that is why we've come to a point where everybody seems like they can just do what they want to do, in the government, you know what I mean? And they kind of like have this "let's ride it till the wheels fall off" attitude. Because anytime you put somebody like Trump in power, his MO is ride it till the wheels fall off. So when something is going to be ridden to the wheels fall off, that means that, we know we're headed for something major. So, we might as well get and grab all that we can in the process. And that's partially what's going on. So it's like two conversations I had wanted to have with you. I wanted to have a conversation with how the billionaires of the world are trying to destroy the world's economy so that they can become the first trillionaires of the world. They're killing the billionaire status. Once, and I know I'm jumping over to something, but believe you me, they're connected. Once you had people like Kanye and Diddy and Jay-Z, which are really like three key cards. You had a three of diamonds, an ace of diamonds, and a nine of diamonds, right? Once they were able to quote unquote reach billionaire status, that's when it was the end of billionaire status. So what you noticed was all of the billionaires started losing money and they started to fall, right? And now essentially all of a sudden it became nothing to be a billionaire. I don't know if y'all don't know this, but the card for Black people is a nine of diamonds. So when the nine of diamonds shows up, it's usually the end. That's why I say people say we late to the party. You know what I mean? Why we the last to find out. But the nine of diamonds signals the end of something major, right? So the nine of diamonds coming into that level of power signaled the end of the billionaires. But that wasn't going to stop them. It was like, okay, the end of the billionaires, now we're going for trillionaire. We want to be trillionaires. And trillionaires is like game over. Because in order for there to be trillionaires, there has to be a huge inequity of wealth for that to happen. Everybody can't be a trillionaire. Everybody can't be a billionaire. Everybody definitely can't be a trillionaire. Trillionaire is a split. It is a divergence, you know what I mean, of energy, of money. So it's going to be, extremes, of that, of those money. Let's try. You know what I mean? So when you look at the word try, you try because some others have failed. You know what I mean? You try. You try because you might fail. Well, that trillionaire represents the haves, the true haves and have nots, right? So that's what they're headed for. And we're talking about so many things happening that is suited to disrupt the balance of the entire planet to the hilt, that now we begin to be exposed to the other inhabitants of the planet that have hidden themselves away or have built large societies even and exist and thrive. And because of the threat of greed, then they have to show themselves. They have to show themselves because it is the pursuit of greed that will lead us to the huge destruction. Is not what isn't is greed not what leads people to destruction regularly on a regular. If you eat too much, you get sick. If you do too much drugs, you get sick. If you do too much of anything, you get sick. And not only do you get sick, you oftentimes can drag other people with you. So we're reaching a tipping point of greed, right? You have billionaires in different industries. They're in AI, they're in the financial industry, they're in tech, They're in all of these industries. And the more money and the more power they get, the more insane they get. Because it is truly an insane pursuit to pursue that amount of money that you can't even do anything with. You know what I mean? Or if you were going to do something, you would be distributing to others who don't have. But you yourself personally can't do anything with that amount of money. It's totally unnecessary, other than ego and greed. So we're hitting a maximum, like a maximum of greed, maximum peak of greed. They beat each other out. These billionaires are on a race to see who can become the first trillionaire or who can become a trillionaire at all. And it's within that race, they're not taking into consideration the karmic effects of their pursuits and on others. So we're in a period of like great judgment, and we're about to see the judges. And it's definitely not what we expect, some of us. But if some of us know the stories, then we should know that those stories were just people's interpretations of a higher story. And that's the story of the beings that live beneath the ocean. The ocean is vastly untraversed by humans, meaning we've probably done more space exploration than we've done underwater. Why is that? Well, we don't do the exploration underwater because it's dangerous to do exploration underwater. More dangerous than it is to do in space. In space, you may have to deal with the elements in space, but in water, there's a lot to deal with down there, and they know it. So, so I thought it was a good topic that I've been wanting to touch on for a while, especially being so close to, Olokun. The crazy thing is, y'all remember that accident where the billionaires went down in the capsule and died in the capsule, going down in that little capsule. And it was quite a few, believe, billionaires who were on board that ship. So in cardology, we look at certain things as signs. That's what you're being taught to look at, signs. You got billionaire, you got deep ocean, you got wealth, you got Olokun, right? And this is talking about the pursuit of enormous wealth. That's what the sign was for that event for all who see the signs. This is the billionaires' launch into the pursuit of tremendous wealth. And in so, willing to risk everybody's lives to get it. Hey, good morning. So this isn't like a funny thing. Everybody thinks that this whole Elon Musk, Donald Trump thing is so good for you and or whatever, but it's good for the selfish. That's who it's good for. Those who think that they're going to somehow feed off of this wealth that these billionaires are trying to establish. The type of wealth that they're trying to establish does not give wealth, does not give a great life to the little guy or the little people out there. That type of wealth is not quote unquote good wealth, if anything. So the warning is here. The warning. The warning is that you get your act together, you align with each other, you hurry up and get out of that dollar currency, because part of their plan is to totally trash the dollar. That is part of their plan because they live in assets. They are building assets elsewhere outside of the dollar. So if the dollar is your favorite thing, then you better be very worried. I remember when I had a conversation, I did a crypto event, and I had a conversation, and there was a guy there. And, I was speaking and I said that, can you imagine the day when you're going to have to turn over your dollars to digits? That's data, whether it's crypto or whomever, right? You think it's easy, but we have something in the financial world called KYC, which is know your customer, but it's also know your money and know where your money came from. So if any of you are sitting on an amount of money that you can't account for, then you cannot turn that money over. And if you give it to somebody likely to turn it over for you who can, they're going to have to prove where they got that money from. So they may not take that money. Imagine the day when you're sitting on a considerable amount of money, but you can't prove where it came from, and you can't get anybody to take it from you because they can't prove where they got it from. Nobody considers those things. But that is what you're talking about, the final and the last transference of money. So lots of things are going on, y'all, like lots of things. Perhaps you need to study those underwater people and try to come and reckon with the source of true wealth is, and not the relentless pursuit of it or what you think it is. Hi, how you doing? The deity that rules the deep ocean, Olokun, also rules great wealth. Great wealth. So what is great wealth? What is it? I mean, there's not dollars down there. What is down there that gives birth to great wealth? What is down beneath the ocean that gives birth to great wealth? That's the question you need to study today. Because it's not dollars. It's not dollars. Someone said pearls. That's just yet another thing that comes out of the ocean. So I think it would be a good idea, and I'll probably do a presentation on it, but an idea of what is formed at the bottom of the ocean and how does it affect us? And people are saying pearls, minerals, and gems. There's not none of that. There isn't any of that. Sure will. Working on so many things at the same time, but these subjects are coming up and they're talking about them. And we are still, you know, talking about whatever. We ain't getting it together. We're not preparing for the change. Like we in currency, that's a good thing. Currency, that's a good way to put it. The currency, right? And currency doesn't have to be dollars and dimes or anything. So sit on that. But we're not preparing, we're not taking it serious. And a lot of things are happening. We're not taking AI serious. We're not taking the fact that we've achieved AGI, you know what I mean? Which is essentially approaching the the intelligence of AI being more intelligent than humans. Now, mind you, AI isn't, there are definitely some things that I think that puts AI alongside our intelligence, meaning that no, we're not stupid and you don't get stupider using it. As a matter of fact, I learned a lot using AI. I learned a lot about AI, right? I learned how linear AI thinks. I don't think linear, So AI is very linear, which is why it can't remember back that way. Every AI that comes forward is a new AI. So you have an AI that's making something for you, it can't go back. Another AI starts up behind it and goes over it. It's very linear. You know what I mean? It's very linear. And that's not how we are. We have a special way of thinking and a special way of storing information that allows us to jump from dimension to dimension, place to place, and then even go back to where we just jumped from. So you need to get in these things. You need to stop what you're doing and figure out what you're going to do on some real stuff because it's about to get all real. That's why I'm working. I've been working very hard the last couple of months because social media. I haven't had a lot of time to be on social media. I've been working on various different projects, like working, and building because there are going to be different points next year in particular where the ground shakes and changes our perception of things. And you got to be ready for that. Like, you got to be ready for your whole entire perception to be changed in real time. Real time. They are creating and opening up multitude of timelines and possibilities all at once. This is what ascension is. Ascension isn't we all get together and we get on an ark or we get on a boat. Ascension is that all of these multitude of realities begin to open up for us, and we have to make a decision on which reality we're going to walk. This is the beginning and the birth of belief systems. This is what happened hundreds of years ago. Belief systems. You get to determine what reality you're going to take now. Hey, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Sealing their fate. They're absolutely not going to make it, but they're on some YOLO shit. So it doesn't matter if they're going to make it. They will take us down with them while they try. Drones. It absolutely looks like the drones are government drones because and not only government drones, but they're definitely clocking how people are receptive to them and how people are receiving them. They're changing your reality, changing it right in front of your face. The last year, if you remember, January 1st, a whole entire mall of people saw extraterrestrials walking around the mall. Just like these drones. We seeing drones in the sky. They saw extraterrestrials walking around the mall. There was a family, a Hispanic family, that saw an extraterrestrial in their backyard. All of this stuff took place around the same time. And it hit social media, and there was videos. There was pictures. They took videos of something swimming in the ocean with lights. All of this stuff took place around the same time. Yeah, the mall incident was in Miami. Miami, pretty much. And all they did was they never really came out with an official word on it. When they don't come out with an official word on it, it's a government project. But it's not that it's not connected to extraterrestrials. They're just trying to gauge your response to extraterrestrial activity. They're trying to see what you will do, how much of a panic it will cause, how much does it change your life? Did you just forget about it and move on to the next thing? They're trying to gauge your sensitivity to what you will one day see. They have to unveil it because it's being unveiled. It's coming out. They know, they do. They absolutely know what's coming, but they need to have the data on it. They need to have the data. They need to do a study to see how people are going to respond. That's it. Same thing with these drones. If these drones, if it were a real thing that they had nothing to know about it, they would have shot them down by now. They would have shot them down when the first one went up. But what a better way to gauge your reaction than to use these little drones and just perch them there, fly them all over the place, all over restricted air force, restricted airways. What better way to gauge your response? It's trying to get your attention. And look, it got a few people's attention, but it still ain't get everybody's attention. Other people, they still watching the Diddy trial. And they still looking at TikTok, and they're still watching Trump every day and all this other stuff. It don't matter. It's not a biggie. When it becomes completely not a biggie, then that's what they're looking for. Because 40 years ago, hell, 30 years ago, it would have been a biggie. 30 years ago, there would have been reportings, there would have been chaos. Everybody would have been talking about that. Nobody would have been talking about Diddy. Nobody would have been talking about Donald Trump. Nobody would have been talking about any of these things. They would have been talking about these drones flying around in the sky, these UFOs flying around in the sky. It would have been an utter panic. So now they know where we are with things. They know where we are. We've moved out of alien movies, Men in Black, all of that, to increased alien activity. So you can expect that it is going to increase well up until within the next 2 years, until it becomes just accepted. That's how we do everything. That's how we do everything. I mean, that's how we did, everything, every lifestyle that we've had in this country, you know, we did the same thing with the transgender lifestyle. It was cross-dressing, it was whatever. Now it's nothing. That is how we test the waters on everything. America is about testing the waters. It's a jack of diamonds. We get it first as the ace of clubs. So we get it first. We get all awareness of what is outside of what is declared normal. We get it here first. And then we go out and we spread the word. That is what we do. Six of clubs, the messenger, which is Saturn to the Jack of Diamonds. So we go out in the world and we spread the word through music, through Hollywood, through all of these things. We are the official word spreader. We are the official source of information. Period. So the next word we are slated to share is the word of our humanoid neighbors. And when I say humanoid, they walk on they're bipedal. They may not look exactly like us, but they're humanoid. They got two eyes and they probably have little noses and they got two legs, so they're humanoid. And we're being slated to spread the word. And I knew this was coming because my Uranus card is the Ten of Hearts. And the Ten of Hearts is the card I use for Olokun. It is the card of the deep water. So for me, it was never going to be about space. It was going to be about what's under the water. Look at Elon Musk surrounding the whole earth with satellites and satellite communication. He was supposed to be going to Mars. He ain't going to Mars yet. He was supposed to be going to Mars. And I believe Mars was a pipe dream. It's not that I don't believe that it exists. I believe that if they know that there are huge cities beneath the ocean and that there is the source of wealth beneath the ocean, where do you think they're going? Where do you think they're going? And this might wind up being a fight because they may wind up trying to dominate there and spark a war that we have never seen before. But let them, because they're coming for them. They don't have to be coming for you. And it's interesting. We are really in the Aquarian Age. And what is the symbol of the Aquarian Age? The water bearer. We focus so much on Aquarius and technology and air, but she's holding water. It is the water bearer. So what's the water about? What's the water about, y'all? So the submersible incident makes more sense now. Billionaires going into the deep ocean. Absolutely. Doesn't it make sense? Doesn't it make sense? Doesn't it make sense? It is the race for wealth to become the trillionaire. They'll die doing it. They are willing to die doing it. Looking at that incident should have worried you. Anybody who would be willing to get in a can to go down somewhere is not going to give a goddamn about you. They're willing to get in a can like this small, go down miles and miles and miles to the bottom of the ocean. Dark. So because they're willing to drag you with them and what they're doing, you have to organize. You got to get together. You got to jump off that ship and get on your own ship with your own folks. All you have to do is say no. But that also means you have to say no to the people who are trying to drag you over there too. This election, if you notice, the outcome was division, but not just division, it was power. It was the courage to say no to people, to say, nah, not my, I'm not with that circus. I'm gonna build my own circus. That was a great thing because some of you continue to be drawn off your path, following the wrong people, the people who don't care if you get drugged down in that little pill down there with the billionaires to your grave. If you don't know what can I'm talking about that little can they took to the bottom of the ocean and died in. That's what I'm talking about. It was symbolic because I'm pretty sure there was one or two people, and I believe it was like maybe one of their sons or something. There was one or two people down there that was not down there for that. They got pulled along on the ride, probably had no idea what was about to happen. And that's some of you. Some of you getting pulled along for the ride and have no idea what's about to happen. So we're in big times, y'all. We're in really big times. It's time to do big things. It's time to build big for yourself and other builders, for the earth, for the earth. That's it. The energy of yesterday was an 8 of clubs day. And 8 of clubs is my Mars card. So that goes to show you how intense my whole entire life is. The 8 of clubs is ruled by Mars and Neptune. Mars and Neptune. It's like, where do you use your energy? Where do you put your energy? You could put your energy into something worthwhile and obsessively get it done, because some of us are born with these obsessive traits and they're there for a reason. They're not there because you got some kind of mental illness. You have those obsessive traits because you are going to be needed to build the next world. So, are you taking your obsessive energy and your obsessive traits and are you pouring it into individuals? Are you pouring it into people? Are you pouring it into people who disappoint you and you think you want to try to do better to be accepted by these people? Or are you pouring all that beautiful knowledge and obsessive energy into something worthwhile? When you're pouring it into something worthwhile, then you don't worry about things. You don't worry about the things that are going on out there and around when you're pouring your obsessive energy into something worthwhile. I could have everything, the world closing in on me, but that's why I have my Mars is in 8 of clubs, because it doesn't matter what all of this stuff is going on. I have to do my job. I have to do what is worthwhile. Absolutely the eighth house, which I'm the eighth house stellium. So no matter what, sometimes I may have to pull back so the chatter doesn't get that loud out there, so I could still continue to build obsessively. So yeah, you tapped into that obsessive energy. You funneled it and you channeled it into something, but don't channel it into people. Never channel obsessive energy into people. That energy is given to you so that you can achieve something, build something. Who do you think are the builders of all these things that we have? They're people that have deep obsessive energy because they're not going to stop until that building is done. They're not going to stop until that house is built. They're not going to stop until that software is complete. Hey, everybody. So we're going into some serious times. Yesterday transformed into the Nine of Hearts as well. So that's what happens when you get obsessive into people. Your heart gets broken. You have heart attacks. You have strokes. Your heart goes bad. Nine of Hearts. That is the leading pathway to pouring your obsession, which you might think is your love, pouring your obsession into people. Or it could be the Nine of Hearts, which is bringing you into a very beautiful, joyous living, doing work for the world, doing work to heal the world, pouring your obsessive energy into the world rather into individuals. Good morning. Morning. Or almost afternoon now. So, as we're getting ready to go into 2025, just note that you were built for this. You were built for everything. I talked about it before when I said that some of us are ruled by Mars, like myself, Mars and Pluto. Those who are ruled by Mars and Pluto, guess what? You do well in Mars and Plutonian times. You do well under pressure. You might seem like you have a tremendous amount of pressure, but if you're focusing on the pressure, then you're not focusing on the work. Because the work, the pressure is supposed to help you to refine the work, help you to focus, help you to build better. So that's Mars. Mars is pressure. So if you're one of those people that do well in pressure, under pressure, then you can do extraordinarily well in the coming years. I didn't even know that Mercury was stationed in direct the 15th. I barely know what time it is today, but thank you for telling me. Thank you for telling me. I love Mercury retrograde, y'all. I work well with Mercury retrograde. I get stuff done. The retrogrades are for the underdog. And you got Mars retrograde, and some of y'all underdogs are going to start being tapped on, start getting phone calls, start getting on your assignments, telling you what your next assignment is going to be. Start preparing you. So look at it, definitely look at it from a positive end. Don't let nobody scare you about Mars retrograde. Don't let nobody scare you. Just tell them, this is my time. I go against the grain. Isn't that what a retrograde does? So, hey there. Yep. Something big. It's a Jack of Spades week, y'all. And the Jack of Spades deals with coming into a new reality of something. like dealing with a new reality. When a Jack of Spades shows up in your life, then you're getting ready to go into some type of new reality, something new, some new beginning in your life is coming that's not going to be easy. It's not going to be like easy. It's the type of new beginning where you get a job in another state and they're not paying for you to move there, but they paying really well. And you just like bump it. I'm going to get there any kind of way I can get to there. It's a difficult, very difficult new beginning that could lead to some expanded luck in your life. And that can lead to some money, some windfalls, all of these types of things. And you might think it's a bad opportunity because you're scared, because it's hard, because it ain't clearly written out. It's going to take faith. But this is the crossroads that a lot of people are at right now. A lot of people. You're going to be given door number 1, door number 2, and door number 3. So, anyway, y'all, I got to get back to work, but I just wanted to jump on. I have my daily offer. My one offer is I only have that for 10 people to kick it with me for 2 months as, you know, not really my mentors, but I'm here to support you as your coach. And I have 10 people and I have a coupon in there for 50% off. So for the price of a reading, you got me for 2 months. And that's for 10 people. So I would grab it if I were you. And for the people who are currently under my mentor coaching, yours is going to be extended for 2 months. So if you're currently, and I only have a couple of people in that program, so if you're currently there, just note that I intend on extending yours into the new year too. So you're talking about until February. So anyway, peace.